Another January participant protester has been sentenced to death. His name is Sepehr Amirzadeh from Esfahan. And his crime, he's a 24-year-old medical student, and he was helping the wounded during the protests. And that is why they have sentenced him to death. That just came down today. I just wanted to share so that we're made, so that his name is stays eternal, and hopefully he can be saved, but chances are slim.
So Sepehr Amirzadeh, 23-year-old medical student facing an imminent death penalty by the regime in Iran. His charges are enmity against God, which is based on his actions. Okay, so guys, listen to this. He's been he's been charged for waging war against God because he provided medical treatment to injured protesters in the January uprising. Let that sink in, okay? So he is in facing imminent death penalty by the regime in Iran. Guys, like this is something you think you will read in a novel, that the evil villains are cartoonishly evil. Cartoonishly evil. Like you can't, like this can't be real life. His charges are waging war against God because he provided medical treatment to injured protesters in Iran in the January uprising. Recent reports from mid-August confirm his execution has not yet happened, but he remains at grave risk. His sentence comes amidst a massive wave of state violence. But yeah, we know this. I mean, even if you think the protesters were at fault, how could the regime supporters think that this is okay? Like, usually usually the standard is that we provide medical treatment to anybody, including our enemy. Like, how do these people think that they're on the right side of history? Do they even care anymore? I don't understand. I don't know, this is beyond evil. I think evil doesn't really truly describe what these people are doing.
Yeah, can I just add one more thing? The crazy thing is that he's a medical student, so he would have been, able to provide care and health and medical services to regular Iranians for, I don't know, 30 years. And this is not the only case. There were nurses that were raped and murdered and sentenced for the exact same reason. So like this regime just goes after anybody and anybody who is just against them. They don't care if they're useful. They don't care what the ideologies are. It's like basically you're against us, you're dead, regardless of what your education level is, what your beliefs are, or anything. It's just whoever doesn't like us. Yep, you're against God. Done, dead. So it's just so sad because imagine how much work this guy has put into his studies to learn something to go help people, and then he actually does what he's trained to do, and then they want to kill him for it. It's barbaric. That's the only word,
Yeah,
barbaric.
that's a good point. You know, if they're killing more than one person, they're killing him and all the people he would have saved. But also, what does that say about your God? If if you are a God that by treating people's injuries, I'm waging war against you, what does that say about you as a God? Healing people is waging war against your God? What kind of God is that? That's crazy.
First to reply is Jose.
Yeah, Armin. And I'm just thinking this story reminds me a lot about that firefighter in Tehran that was shot down while he was trying to get someone to safety that had been hurt during the first when the shooting began. I don't remember his name anymore, but that video was striking. And Raham is right. I can definitely think of many reports of nurses being raped and murdered for doing their job, which obviously this young man was doing. It's annoying as hell. And, you know, I know that the sister society to the Red Cross is the Red Crescent, and they're also supposedly to offer help to anyone injured, regardless of what side. But this is just going way too far, and I'm wondering honestly if this is just a way to try to provoke Trump into doing something. You know, 'cause this is a future bright star into the whatever survives of this regime or comes in with Pavlov's regime, someone that could be helpful, useful, work for the people, who obviously cares more about the people than anything else. And now this, I know, Armin, this might sound a little strange to you. You know that I'm a Catholic, but I don't consider this a god, a god that they're worshiping. They're worshiping a cult of death. They're worshiping death himself. You know, just death, and that's it. And that's why everybody else has to die.
I mean, as an atheist, I agree with you.
Next is Mordecai.
Hey guys, so I mentioned it in the chat, but I'm going to repeat it in full voice. And I recognize this phrase because I've heard it mentioned in the Quran, supposedly that if you kill one person, it's as if you're destroying a whole world. As a Jew, that phrase is very familiar because it was mentioned in the Talmud, and I think it probably predates the Islamic saying. But I don't understand how you can reconcile a belief like that with the actions of the Islamic regime, especially in this case, but more generally in cases where we're dealing with people who are non-combatants and whose value to society is so high. That's all I really have to say.
That Quran verse says that God gave Jews the law that if you kill one man, it's as if you kill all mankind.
Okay, good,
But
good. At least they're giving the credit in the right direction.
Yeah, but then the verse goes on to say that even with that verse, the Jews went ahead and broke God's laws. So it's not that kind.
No, it's good to know.
All right. Okay. Actually, can I talk about this for a second? Let me see. Okay. Quran 530. This is Quran 532. This is. I'm glad you brought it up. Okay. So the source. This is a very important Quranic verse. Is yes. So this is a Quran. This is Quran 532. That Obama actually quoted this Quranic verse in Congress, trying to celebrate Islam as a religion of peace. Basically, when people quote it, they only quote this part, like as saying basically killing one man is as if you is basically the same as bad as killing all mankind, right? The full verse is this: that is why we ordained to the children of Israel, meaning Jews, that whoever takes a life, unless as punishment for murder or mischief in the land, it will be as if they killed all of humanity. And whoever saves a life, it will be as if they saved all of humanity. Although our messenger already came to them with clear proofs, many of them still transgressed afterward through the land. So what you have to read is the verse after. Okay, and I'll explain both verses after to you. The verse after is Quran 5:33. It says, "Indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah." So people read Quran 5:32, but they don't read Quran 5:33, which is basically the same verse that is used to execute these people. The verse after Obama, when Obama was reading incompletely out of context, reading verse 5:32, which I will explain what that verse is, but he doesn't read the verse after, which is the punishment that that the Quran that is used by the Islamic Republic to hang these people, right? Saying, indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah, this is the name of the crime that this person was accused of, against Allah and His Messenger, and spread mischief in the land, is death. Death, crucifixion, cutting of their hands and feet on opposite sides, or exile them from the land. Their penalty is a disgrace for them in this world, and they will suffer a tremendous punishment in the hereafter. So what the 532 is saying is that we had a law for the Jews, not for Muslims. We had a law for the Jews. And also the Quran makes a mistake in 532 because it assumes that teaching was in the Torah. So the Torah, the Quran claims that it was Allah's revelation to the Jews, which eventually was corrupted. So the Quran thinks that was part of the Torah, and it wasn't. It was part of the Talmud. So the Talmud is Rabbi's commentary. So the Quran is pretending that this was Allah's message to the Jews, not knowing that this was just a rabbi's commentary. So it confuses the Talmud for the Torah. And he said, we gave this message, we gave this to the Jews, and basically here, the Sha'an al-Nuzul and the tafsir of this verse shows, along with the rest of the verse, is that the reason why this command was given to the Jews is because the Jews were the murderous bunch of people who were needed to be told to stop. And even with this message, even with this verse, they still kept on killing people, right? But that was the command Allah had for the Jews, to just stop killing, to stop murdering. But the message, the verse after, because a lot of people are like, oh, so the Quran tells you not to kill. But the verse after is telling you to kill. The very verse after is telling you to kill. It says, those who wage, you need to crucify them. You need to cut off their hands and feet. You need to kill them. Death, crucifixion, cutting off hands and feet, depending on the severity of their crime. So every time a Muslim or somebody else quotes you that verse, tell them, like, do you know the verse after? Can you quote the verse after to me? Because they usually don't. So that's the context. That's the full context. The verse 532 was Allah's commandment to the Jews. 533 is Allah's commandment to Muslims, which is killing people who are waging war against Allah, or spreading mischief in the land, which it doesn't define even what it is, which is basically leaves it to interpretation. All right, but I'm glad you brought it up because, most people don't understand it. All right, I'm done.
Next is Roy.
And are we what, the gods of mischief, Loki? What are we talking about here? I'm confused. Is the pranking people like a penalty in Islam, like a death penalty? That's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I actually wanted to say that we are talking about, where the death cults, the inbreds and different subjects of Islam. I think we're missing the biggest point about Islam. Everything shows that the basic structure of Islam is not just the death and the you know and the hate and everything. The basic structure of Islam is fear, not just fear of Muslims and violence and this. The Muslims themselves are based on fear. Fear of dogs, fear of pigs, fear of this, fear of women, smart women, fear of Jews, fear of Christians, fear of, they fear everything that moves. And it's because Muhammad, apparently, I don't know, guys, you know, let me know if I'm mistaken or something. But I think Muhammad was so afraid. He was so afraid of everything. And you can see it in some of the stuff that he wrote back in Mecca before, no, I think it was, I think it was in Mecca. Some of his writing in Mecca, he was so trying to be like, you know, peace and love and everything. And then everything changed, right? When he went to Medina, because he got just a little bit of balls, a little bit of balls. But before that, he was afraid. He is like the bully in the playground that has self-esteem issues, and he has problems at home, and his dad has, you know, using the belt on him, and then he just gets a little bit of more popularity. He's not strong. He's just getting the popularity of other kids and using them. Then he can start bully other kids. He's not the classic bully that just, you know, because he's a little bit stronger, so he can, you know, beat other kids. No. He's one of those that gets rallying people and start, you know, bully other kids because he is afraid. And that's how psychologically, this is interesting, I think, to really study it for generations, how they spread that fear inside of them by the teachings of the imams for generations. Fear your women, fear your child, fear your kids that will be strong and independent, and put them in a veil, put them, block them, chain them. Oh, fear of of everything. You know, in Judaism, we have some of those similarities, but we have a structure that gives questioning. We can question stuff. We don't have to agree on everything. But here it's just based on emotion. There is no reasoning. There is no trying to reason. And this is why I think we need to change our perspective about it. Not totally. I'm just saying it's about an emotional, I don't know if you can say it, emotional cry for help. But in a way, Muslims are the biggest victims of Islam, more than anybody else. But yeah.
Next is Matthias.
Matthias?
Matthias. Okay. No worries.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. This reminds me of something I learned from Robert Spencer. For those who don't know him, you should go check him up. He did a whole history of jihad. He wrote a book about the Palestinian movement. He once said that basically a lot of the terrorist attacks that happen in Europe are done by people, by Muslims, who actually, because of fear of Islam itself, they come here, they start to live in a bit like us, even worse than us sometimes, because they have pent up energy, pent up sexual energy often. And then they get scared about the potential risks of Allah's judgment. They decide to convert back to Islam, but it's not enough to just go back to the mosque and do all the things that they're supposed to do, because they have a debt to pay to Allah. So they find in jihad the solution to that. So essentially, it's one of the reasons why Westerners think, oh, if they come here eventually, one generation, two generation, they're gonna become like us. It doesn't work precisely for that fear factor that all religions have, as was said before. But the answer that Islam has to it isn't, I have to get back in my ways and purify my soul through good deeds. It's about, I have to do good deeds for Islam, which means often attacking those who are not Muslims. So that's also an important factor.
Matthias, if we could figure out a way to improve your audio quality. I don't know, it's like very roboty, but thank you. Thank you. But let's move on.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
There are no more to, but I was going to just sort of bring it back to the original subject, which was that I don't think that the regime cares. I think that they just want, number one, they know that doing this pisses off Donald Trump, and then that gives them the war they want. And the other half of it is good for them too, which is the regime supporters are like, yay, you're killing people. They love it. So, for them, it seems like it's a win-win, which is horrifying, but there it is. So then, are there super chats?
No super chat. But one thing I want to add: some people might think that, that's a very good point, Albany. And one thing, some people might think like, okay, but why wouldn't you pick somebody that is less embarrassing? Like surely you could find and execute somebody that people wouldn't find you, like when you look at it, people find you this evil. Like seriously, somebody who was healing people. But the thing is that that's the point. They want to advertise that they have no red lines. They want to advertise like there is no, that they have no limits. They go exactly for the ones that you would get the most shocked by, because that is the point. The point is to advertise that, yeah, we're going to kill the people that you might think that would be the last ones that we would kill. That is on purpose. But yeah, anyways.
Is it almost like we would go this far to serve Allah? We're this devoted to it that will, it doesn't matter. We're not going to weigh it. They're against Allah, and therefore we're doing this, and we are that much of our, devoted to Allah. I don't know.
I mean, it might sound like it's Allah, but it's like they would say it's the religion, but it's actually the religious people. Like we're this, they say we're this devoted to serve Islam, but what you're actually supposed to be hearing is that we're this devoted to serving our base. Like the base, that's who they're saving. The blood is for them. That's their true God. That's their real God. The religious, the jihadi people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No. Oh, also we got a super chat.
Okay.
But that's a good question. Somebody's saying. Oh yeah, Saber Coaching saying, for fuck's sakes, Rezai killed his own son for the regime. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Saber. Yep, I mean, yeah. I mean, he gave them up to the regime, and the regime killed them. I have to look up the details. And thank you, Saber Coaching. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, but these people have no limits, exactly. It's a sign of devotion. The more extreme, the more crazy, the more of something that naturally would be seen as a taboo, the better way of you demonstrating how far you're willing to go. Okay.
Isn't that kind of what I said? I think that's what I said. Maybe I wasn't articulate enough.
No, I agree with true. No, no, no. I completely. I was confirmed. Like I was saying that in, like I was reading the super chat. I agreed with everything you said. Like I was confirming what you're saying. Yeah, I wasn't disagreeing with you.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.